Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to Grandma Lily English. Here, we learn English in a different way, not by memorizing long lists of words, but through beautiful stories, meaningful conversations, and life lessons that stay with us long after the story ends. Because when a story touches your heart, learning becomes natural. The words become memories, and little by little, those memories become part of your English. If you'd like to learn English in a calm, natural, and enjoyable way, please subscribe and become part of our Grandma Lily family. Now, come in, sit with us, and let's enjoy another summer evening together. Tonight, I made something a little different, fresh peach iced tea with a few mint leaves from the garden. My mother always believed that good conversations should never be rushed. She used to say, "A warm heart listens better than a hurried mind." I think she was right. Noah, you've hardly touched your tea. That usually means your mind is somewhere else. What are you thinking about, my dear?
Hi, everyone. Grandma, can I ask you something?
Of course, those are my favorite kinds of evenings.
Lately, everyone seems to be talking about artificial intelligence. At school, our teachers talk about it. Online, people say it's changing the world. Some of my friends use it to help with homework. Others use it to learn languages, or write stories, or even create music. Sometimes, it feels like everything is changing so quickly, and honestly, I don't really know what to think. Part of me is excited, but another part is a little afraid. What if people stop thinking for themselves? What if one day, everyone simply asks a machine, instead of learning, instead of wondering, instead of imagining?
Those are thoughtful questions, and thoughtful questions are usually the beginning of thoughtful lives.
Do you think artificial intelligence is a good thing?
I think every powerful tool asks us the same question. Not, what can this tool do? But what kind of person will use it? A hammer can build a home or destroy one. A book can teach wisdom or spread lies. The tool is never the whole story. The person always is.
I've never thought about it that way.
Most people don't, because it's easier to talk about technology than responsibility. Your question reminds me of an old story. I used to tell this story many years ago to some of my university students whenever they worried that the world was changing too fast. I would tell them this, and somehow it always made our conversation a little calmer.
You told this story at the university?
Many times, and tonight I'd like to tell it again, not to a classroom, but to you and to every friend listening with us tonight. Come a little closer. This is the story of a traveler who owned the finest compass anyone had ever seen, the compass that couldn't choose. Long ago, before maps could fit inside our pockets, before satellites circled the sky, and long before computers could answer our questions, there lived a young traveler named Lucas. Lucas dreamed of seeing every corner of the world. He crossed forests, climbed mountains, walked beside rivers, and followed old roads that disappeared into the horizon. One spring morning, an elderly explorer gave him a remarkable gift. It was the most beautiful compass Lucas had ever seen. Its case was made of polished brass. Its glass sparkled like the morning sun, and its needle never failed. Take good care of it, the old explorer said. It will help you find your way. But remember, it cannot choose your destination. Lucas smiled politely. He thanked the old man, placed the compass carefully into his pocket, and continued his journey. At first, he used the compass wisely. He looked at the mountains, he watched the stars, he listened to the rivers, and when he wasn't sure, he checked the compass. It was exactly what the compass had been made for many months. Lucas traveled happily. The compass never failed him. Whenever he reached a crossroads, he looked down, waited for the needle to settle, and followed its direction. Little by little, something changed. At first, he noticed the sunrise every morning. He watched the clouds to guess tomorrow's weather. He listened carefully to the sound of rivers. He even learned which trees preferred rich soil and which grew on rocky hillsides. Nature became his teacher. But as the months passed, Lucas trusted the compass more and himself less. Eventually, he stopped watching the sunrise. He stopped looking at the stars. He stopped listening to the birds. He stopped noticing the world around him. Whenever he had a question, his hand reached for the compass keyboard before his eyes, before his ears, before his own thoughts. Without realizing it, he had slowly stopped learning.
Grandma, he still had the compass, so why was that a problem? Wasn't it helping him?
It was helping him until he forgot that it was only a helper. There's an old saying, the strongest legs become weak if someone else always carries you. Our minds work the same way. If we stop observing, stop wondering, stop thinking, those abilities quietly begin to fade. One autumn afternoon, Lucas entered a deep forest. The trees were taller than any he had ever seen. Their branches blocked the sunlight. The paths twisted in every direction. He reached into his pocket and took out the compass. But something was wrong. The needle trembled. Then it stopped. Then it spun again, round and round, without pointing anywhere. Lucas frowned. He tapped the glass. Nothing. He shook it gently. Still nothing. For the first time in many years, the compass had failed. Lucas stood perfectly still. He looked around. Everything seemed unfamiliar. The trees all looked alike. The paths looked the same. Even the wind felt confusing. He suddenly realized he didn't know which way the sun had risen that morning. He hadn't noticed. He didn't know where the nearest river was. He hadn't been listening. He couldn't even remember which direction he had been walking. A strange feeling filled his heart. Not fear at first, but something deeper. He realized he had spent so many years trusting a tool that he had forgotten to trust himself.
That's actually kind of sad.
Yes, it was. But sometimes our greatest lessons arrive only after our greatest mistakes. Lucas sat beneath an old oak tree. For the first time in a very long while, he did nothing. No walking, no searching, no checking the compass. He simply listened. The forest was quiet. Then, little by little, he began to hear things he hadn't noticed for years. Leaves dancing in the wind, water flowing somewhere nearby, birds calling from the eastern trees. He closed his eyes and remembered what the old explorer had once told him. The compass will help you find your way, but it cannot choose your destination. Lucas whispered to himself, perhaps it was never the compass that guided me. Perhaps it simply reminded me to pay attention.
I think I'm beginning to understand. The compass wasn't really the problem. The problem was forgetting how to think without it.
Exactly, my dear. Exactly. Lucas stood up. This time, instead of looking into his pocket, he looked up. He noticed that moss covered only one side of the trees. He remembered that moss often grows where there's less sunlight. He followed the sound of the river. He watched the evening sky, and slowly, step by step, he found his way out of the forest. When he finally reached the old explorer's cottage, he held out the compass and said, "It stopped working." The old explorer smiled, looked at the compass, and quietly replied, "No, Lucas. The compass worked perfectly. It was waiting for you to start using your own eyes again." Dear friends, let's take a moment to learn a little English together. Tonight's grammar is the future simple tense. We use will when we talk about the future or make predictions. For example, artificial intelligence will change many jobs. Technology will continue to grow. People will always need wisdom. But listen carefully. There is a beautiful difference between these two sentences. AI will give you information, and you will decide what to do with it. One talks about technology. The other talks about you.
So I could say, AI will help me improve my English, but I will choose how I learn.
Exactly, Noah. Beautifully said. Always remember, tools can help us learn, but they should never replace our curiosity. My dear, every generation receives powerful new tools. Long ago, people feared books. Later, they feared radios, then television, the internet, and now artificial intelligence. The question has never really changed. It has always been this: will we use our tools wisely, or will we let our tools start thinking for us? A compass can point north, but it cannot tell you where your heart wants to go.
I think that's what scares people. Not the technology, but forgetting how to think for themselves.
Exactly. Never stop asking questions, because questions are often more valuable than answers. Before we say goodnight, I'd like to open Grandma's window to tomorrow. Every week, we'll spend just a minute thinking about the world that's waiting for all of us. Tonight, let's talk about artificial intelligence. Yes, AI will become more powerful. It will help doctors, teachers, engineers, artists, writers, and millions of ordinary people. It will save time. It will solve problems. It will open doors we cannot even imagine today. But remember something: the future won't belong to the people who simply know how to use AI. It will belong to the people who know how to think, how to ask meaningful questions, how to solve problems, how to care about others, and how to keep learning. Their entire lives, machines may become smarter, but kindness, honesty, creativity, wisdom, and love will always remain beautifully human. So don't be afraid of the future. Prepare yourself for it. Learn, read, stay curious, and never stop growing.
Grandma, can I tell you something?
Of course, my dear.
Dad always tells me, if life gives you a difficult question, go ask your grandma. He says, your grandma never gives you the answer. She helps you discover it yourself. I think that's why people love learning from you.
Your father has always been generous with his words. Yes, I taught at a university for many years. I loved every classroom, every student, every question. But do you know something? The greatest lesson I ever learned was this: education isn't about filling someone's mind with answers. It's about lighting a small candle that keeps burning long after the lesson is over. That's why I love these evenings: a cup of tea, an open book, a curious grandson, and now, friends from all around the world learning together. My classroom is simply a little bigger now, and every one of you is part of it.
Then, I hope we never stop having class.
Neither do I, my dear, because no matter how much we know, there is always something new to learn. And that, dear friends, is our story tonight. If you remember only one thing, let it be this: technology can show you many roads, but only wisdom can help you choose the right one. Keep asking questions, keep learning, keep thinking, and most importantly, keep your heart as curious as your mind.
Thank you for spending another summer evening with us. Now we'd love to hear from you. If you could use artificial intelligence to learn one new skill, what would you choose, and why? Write your answer, in English, in the comments below.
Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and remember, the smartest machine will never replace a kind heart and a curious mind. Good night, dear friends. Take your time. The future is waiting for you.